So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the colleagues from New Zealand. Good afternoon to the colleagues here in Asia, Southeast Asia, and good morning to the colleagues in Europe. My name is Pablo Gandara. I'm coordinating the team implementing the IURC project in Asia Pacific, and I'm very happy to welcome you to our second session of the webinar series dealing with placemaking and tactical urbanism. I will let you know in a moment a little bit about this series, but generally speaking, I can tell you we are going to be about 50 people joining slowly but surely in the few next minutes. And sorry, I'm getting so many messages here, so I need to mute a few of them. And yeah, if I will start with this webinar by sharing just a few introduction on the project and a little bit on this webinar series, and then I will like to hand over the floor, of course, to the speakers, who I will then be introducing in a moment. So I will give it a start with my presentation, and just a moment, please. So here we are. Okay. So the IURC program, as you know, I think most of the participants, I guess, are very well involved in the IURC program. So I will keep it just very, very short. But this is a global EU-funded program. It is supported by the European Union as part of the international external action, and we're actually very, very happy that Michelle Moshirot is today with us, who is from the Foreign Policy Instruments in Bangkok, overseeing the implementation basically and supporting the implementation in Asia Pacific. And but as said, the IURC is the second phase of the so-called IUC program that was launched and was implemented between 2017 and 2020. And it is, of course, part of a global context of first of all, a European context, so to say. We're supporting the implementation of the European Green Deal. I think you're very well familiar with the EU's sustainable development policy, with the ambitious targets for becoming climate neutral by 2050. And actually, of course, part of the larger commitment of the European Union to support the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, to match them up with the so-called EU Urban Agenda, and also part, of course, of the larger, let's say, European-led initiatives of the New European Bauhaus, and the European Urban Initiative. This is, I think, interesting for many of you to be aware of, especially for our participants from Europe, because the European Urban Initiative, which has been just launched 2 months ago, is also supporting city-to-city exchanges, and actually we have today with us also Sandra Marin from the coordination services of the IURC, who's also involved in this European Urban Initiative. Maybe we can discuss later in the second part of the webinar about how our project can work together supporting these European initiatives. So you can of course have a look at our website, the IURC website, to see what topics we're dealing with. As mentioned, I think most of you are already working in the IURC, so you're well aware of it. But just in case, I wanted to let you know that we have implemented in the region in Asia Pacific since nearly 2 years. We have been implementing different webinars dealing, as you can see over here, starting with nature-based solutions, but with a very strong focus in the second half of the last year, especially on urban food. That was because of a partnership we had with the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact Secretariat. And then we have been also working, and we ended up nearly 2 months ago with a webinar on placemaking and tactical urbanism, the first part. Maybe just to let you know, for those who have not been able to join our webinars so far, that we had a very interesting series also, which is available in our YouTube channel. There is a video about that, about what we were especially doing with the city of Bangkok. As I mentioned before, the project, the IURC project in Asia Pacific, is coordinated from Bangkok, and we had very interesting exchange in 2021 about also about you know, urban design platforms, and this is quite related to the topic placemaking and tactical urbanism as today. So the webinar we had 2 months ago, there is a summary of it in our website. If you can click on it, you can see that. You go to the, you can also just look in our website, just enter tactical, and then you will find it straightforward. Last time we had 4 presentations. We had a presentation from Christchurch where we had Ryan Reynolds, who is a very experienced person on implementing tactical urbanism measures across the world. And then we had very interesting experiences from 3 cities, from Brisbane, from Bangkok, as well as from Rotterdam. And there is a summary over there, and if you're interested in getting and access to the video, please let us know. So just very brief on the topics. I think I mentioned that already last time, so I'm not going to go very deep on that now. But of course, the whole topic of placemaking and tactical urbanism in public spaces is a very interesting one for many cities across the globe. It is not something new. It is just now, I think, very timely, because there are many cities across the world are rolling out very inclusive measures for tactical urbanism and placemaking. And we have in the European Union, of course, also some very relevant best practices and programs that have been dealing with that. Here you can see the European Innovation Institute. For example, the European Institute for Technology, we have a urban mobility hub. You can access some videos over there from different cities, also the urban innovative actions, which have been now, so to say, mainstreamed into the European initiative, urban initiative. Same counts for URBACT. You can also access there some very interesting documents, and we have them also in our website. If you go in the website, you navigate to the thematic networks, you will see that. So for today, we're going to have speakers from 3 cities. We will start with a colleague, with Cheonggyecheon-ro from Seoul, who is basically working at the mobility department. We'll get back to that in a moment. And Seoul is being paired up with Dublin in Ireland. And so therefore, we're very happy to welcome today 2 colleagues from Dublin who will be sharing the presentations about greening the city on the one hand side, and also about mobility on the other. And we have also a representative from Málaga municipality, Paula. Paula is working as an architect there, and will share with us some ideas about art and tactical urbanism and art for urban basically refurbishing. So as said, we have over here the speakers. We're going to start with Lee Cheonggyecheon, and I think that will be the speakers order. We have the ideas to have 50 to 20 minutes per city, to have an interactive discussion time afterwards. We're going to be making some pictures for our website again, so if you don't want to be there, please turn off your camera. It's no problem. And we will be recording the meeting actually, but we will then discuss with the speakers if they want to put it in our YouTube channel or not. We will decide it afterwards, but in any case, you will be able to access that through our web platform that we have through the cloud. So having said this, I would just hand over to Cheonggyecheon, which I see over there, whom I see over there. So Cheonggyecheon-ro, thanks very much for being with us today. And I'm happy to see that we are so many in the meantime, nearly about 30 people. And Cheonggyecheon, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you hear me now clearly?
Yes, perfectly. Yes.
Thank you. All right, I will share my PPT slides now. think my connection is not good right now, so sorry for this inconvenience.
No problem. I can also share your slides if you want, the way you want.
I will do it now.
Okay, perfect.
Does it?
Coming up. Yeah, it's coming up. There it is. Yes.
I'm so sorry because of the slow screen.
No problem. No problem. So.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. So good day. I'm Cheonggyecheon-ro, and the manager of the Transportation Policy Division at the Seoul Metropolitan Government. And my role involves promoting and coordinating international cooperation for transportation policies in Seoul. And it is such an honor to participate in this webinar on placemaking and tactical urbanism in public spaces. I'm delighted to meet people from DCC especially, and I hope everything is going well there as always. So now I will provide a brief overview of Seoul. I believe that you guys already know about Seoul, but just for briefly. As the capital and largest city of the Republic of Korea, Seoul is located in the center of the Korean Peninsula. With a population of 9.7 million people residing in an area of 605 square kilometers, it is an overcrowded city. Together with the surrounding Gyeonggi province and neighboring Incheon, the Seoul metropolitan area is home to a total of 26 million people, accounting for 50% of the Korean population and ranking as the 6th largest metropolitan area in the world by population. So the photo you are currently viewing shows the Hangang River, which flows horizontally across Seoul, dividing the city into two sections, north and south of the river. And Seoul consists of 25 autonomous districts. And then today I would like to introduce car-free streets as part of this webinar. In an effort to create a pedestrian-friendly city, Seoul initiated car-free streets in 2005. Currently, we have 140 sites totaling 32,110 meters in length. The Seoul Metropolitan Government directly operates 3 sites, while the autonomous districts operate 137 sites. Sorry. The sites we're currently operating are Deoksugung-gil, Cheonggyecheon-ro, and Jamsu Bridge total 3. So first of all, the first car-free street in Seoul is Deoksugung-gil, as you can see. Deoksugung-gil is located in near Deoksugung Palace, one of the 5 royal palaces in Seoul, and mainly built in the 20th century. It is very old palaces. And the street is 310 meters long and operates during lunchtime on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it is located very close to my office at the City Hall. So many staff members frequently walk along this street during their lunch breaks. And on weekends, the street operates for almost the entire day. The picture on the right, you can see, is a sign that installed to block cars, motorcycles, bicycles, and scooters, allowing citizens to freely walk along this road. The sign indicates Deoksugung-gil, car-free streets, and displays the operating hours in Korean. I want to show a view of this street in a video. I hope that it works now. All right. Does it play now?
Not yet, but
Not
maybe
yet.
you can.
I will just skip it because of,
Yeah,
sorry.
I can in the meantime look for
right
it.
now.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Yes.
Sorry.
No problem. No problem. That's fine.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Skip it. And as you can see, this street offers an elegant stone wall road where visitors can experience the atmosphere of traditional Korea. And Deoksugung-gil is not only beautiful, but also hosts many festivals, performances, and events. One of famous performances on this road is Deoksugung Palace Royal Guard Changing Ceremony, which is the picture on the right. And the ceremony, which is held at the start of the street, is a tradition similar to changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace and offers a rare opportunity to experience royal culture. It is held 3 times a day, and the gatekeepers in charge of guard duty and patrols hold a shift ceremony 3 times a day. To encourage walking, Seoul government also offer a free program called the Seoul Guided Walking Tour. It is designed for tourists who want to explore Seoul's top tourist attractions on foot, guided by multilingual tour guides. And there are approximately 40 different tours available, classified under 8 themes, and the tour course that includes Deoksugung-gil, this road, is particularly popular. And the next car-free street that I want to show you is Cheonggyecheon-ro. Cheonggyecheon means Cheonggyecheon stream, and located in the city center. Unlike Deoksugung-gil that I just showed it before, which is along a palace, this street runs alongside a stream, and it is 880 meters long and operates only on weekends and holidays. To understand this street better, I would like to provide a brief explanation of Cheonggyecheon stream. It is Korea's representative urban regeneration project. The stream has been covered by a highway overpass from 1960s for decades. The total length of the stream is 5.84 kilometers, and 5.4 kilometers of covered structures and highways were demolished. Seoul government decided to revitalize the downtown area by enhancing the urban environment, and construction began in July 2003 and was completed in the early 2005. The restoration of the stream created a wind corridor, reduced the heat island effect, improved the air quality, and restored the natural environment. Most importantly, citizens can now enjoy nature in the heart of the city. Along this stream, we have opened bicycle lanes to encourage the use of eco-friendly transportation among citizens and tourists in 2021. The bike lanes were built on a 5.94 kilometer long section of the existing 2-way roads, providing an 11.88 kilometer round trip in a safer environment. Bicycle lanes are completely separate from car roads, and some are raised to the same height as the sidewalk, ensuring separation from the roads. And the final car street I would like to discuss is Jamsu Bridge. And Jamsu Bridge means submerged bridge in Korean. This bridge forms the lower deck of the Banpu Bridge and is just meters above the Han River. It consists of 2 traffic lanes, a pedestrian walkway, and a bike lane. As you can see, the bridge across the Han River has been transformed into a pedestrian-only route. The total length of this street, including the bridge, is 1.1 kilometers. It operates only on Sundays, from April to November this year. We started this as a pilot program from August to October last year. And buses that originally crossed the Jamsu Bridge are temporarily rerouted to the Bampo Bridge, which is directly above it. According to a poll conducted by the Seoul Metropolitan Government in 2021, 85% of respondents stated that the pedestrian-only bridge on the Han River was necessary, and around 4% of respondents reported having experienced walking or cycling on the Jamsu Bridge. There are many tourist attractions near the Jamsu Bridge, so this is why we selected the Jamsu Bridge for the pedestrian-only route. First, the rainbow fountain located on both sides of the bridge was registered in the Guinness Book of Records in 2008 as the longest bridge fountain in the world, with a total length of around 1,000 meters. At night, over 200 lights created a fantastic view of beautiful rainbow. And there is a Bampo Han River Park at the southern end of the bridge, where many Seoul citizens enjoy leisure and sports. And Sebin Island, the left one in the slice, a culture complex consisting of 3 artificial man-made floating islands near there too. So many citizens enjoy various activities, including nature experiences, book quiz, bike lanes, and picnic spots. Yeah, this is also the video of I want to show you, but I'm not sure if it will be playing or not.
Yeah, no problem. Let's give it a moment.
Yeah,
should be working in a moment.
Okay. I click it and I will explain more. So last month, Louis Vuitton held its pre-fall runway show on the Jamsu Bridge in Seoul. This event was part of an MOU signed between the Seoul City government. It is playing now, right? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it is playing, but with no sound, but it doesn't matter. I don't think we need the sound, right? So it's fine, please.
So this runway is on the bridge, and it is a part of an event that we signed an MOU between the Seoul City government, the Korea Tourism Organization, and Louis Vuitton to promote tourism in South Korea. The model in blue suit is one of heroine in the Squid Game. Yeah, so I hope that it shows briefly about the bridge for you. And then,
yes, thank you.
Similarly, the Seoul Metropolitan Government organized diverse events on the bridge, and one of them is the Dubok Festival, which is held every Sunday from May 7 to July 9. Dubok means the sound of walking on Korean. It can be translated in TikTok or Peter Patter in English. And this festival includes performances by singers, food trucks, flea markets, outdoor movie screenings, and an outdoor library, with cars prohibited from entering the bridge. Additionally, this Sunday, the annual Space Out competition will be held on the bridge. And this event, which started in 2014, was only interrupted for 3 years due to the pandemic, and celebrates its 6th edition this year. Vehicle traffic will be regulated to allow participants to space out without any distraction. So approximately 70 teams must sit still and remain spaced out for 90 minutes. Participants engaging in conversation, checking their smartphones, moving around, or falling asleep will be eliminated. The winner is chosen based on the high score tallied by audience votes and their steady heart rate. This event was first devised by a Korean visual artist in 2014, and based on her personal experience of overcoming burnout by investing time and energy in doing nothing. It has since evolved into an annual event in collaboration with the city government. So this is the end of my presentation about car-free streets in Seoul, and let me wrap up. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Cheonggyecheon-ro, for this marvelous presentation. Very inspiring, I think. Overcoming burnouts and do nothing seems to be probably very popular. And no, but I think it's very interesting also the different examples that Cheonggyecheon-ro and the other ones. You're going to remain with us until for 1 more hour, correct? Will you remain with us? Are you going to remain with us for the discussion? Sure. Okay, super. Yes. So then we will, I think we will set aside the questions for the questions and answers round in about 40 minutes. Okay, thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
And we move forward now to our colleagues from Dublin. As mentioned, Seoul is working with Dublin. We have Claire and Deirdre there. I think, Claire, maybe you can start with it, since the topic is, I think, more related to mobility, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Super. Thank you very much. Maybe you can briefly also introduce yourself a bit for the other colleagues here.
Will do. Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. Morning from a sunny Dublin. My name is Claire. I'm a senior executive engineer with the traffic department in Dublin City Council. So I'm just going to go through just one street in Dublin, Capel Street, that became traffic-free last summer. And I suppose just let you know how we did it and why we did it and what effect it's having. So just, I suppose, for anyone who's not familiar with Dublin, it's situated on the east side of the country, so that's just a darker green there. It is our capital city. We've just over 1 million population. And in the city, it's divided into 4 different local authorities, and Dublin City Council are based right in the very heart of the city, where most of the economic and trade and shopping and everything goes on. So I suppose just, as I say, I'm in the traffic department at Dublin City Council, which I suppose historically was probably more about moving cars around the city, but over the last while, I suppose this has changed. And our priority of who we're trying to move around the city safely and efficiently has changed. So the top of our priority in our pyramid now is pedestrians and cyclists, really, of all abilities, followed by public transport, and then deliveries, and then right, I suppose, at the bottom would be cars, who do of course still have a place, but our priority has changed somewhat. So why we are trying to create these traffic-free spaces in Dublin, I suppose we're trying to reallocate the space away from the vehicle. The way we've been doing it the last couple of years, we're trying to do it quite quickly. So we're not coming in with a big scheme, a big, finished plaza and everything like that. We're trying to just change the use of the space first and see how that works before we commit to spending a huge amount of money in I suppose making it a bit nicer. But it gives us as well then that ability to trial different setups and arrangement and materials before we do too much. It's also very easily adapted. So if something comes up, or for some reason we need to change things, it can be done quite quickly. It also lets everyone experience the new infrastructure, the new layout, because as I'm sure most people are familiar, when you try and take space off vehicles, most of the arguments are about where the car is going to go, where are we going to park. So we can show people before we do too much. It answers most of those questions. Once these things are in, then we have scope to improve it. And I would say that these do work best when there is buy-in and support from the street, whether that's residents, businesses, and councillors. I suppose the reason we call them traffic-free spaces rather than, I suppose, pedestrian space or anything else is that we do have a few pedestrian streets, but we now moved more towards traffic-free streets, which just means that we allow cyclists into the space. So this all really started in earnest during COVID, when the city started to reopen, but only outdoor dining was permitted, which was quite new to the city on this scale. You weren't allowed to eat indoors, so we had to very quickly respond as a city and provide space for outdoor dining to allow businesses to open back up. And as we were doing so, I suppose we started to notice what a difference it makes, small difference it can make, just by getting rid, I suppose, of parking and giving the space back over to pedestrians. Can totally change the street from a quite intimidating rundown street to a much more vibrant, inviting place. So Capel Street itself is about 500-600 meters in the very heart of the city centre, going from north to south down towards the river. And this, I suppose, is what it looked like. It was just one lane of traffic, but there was parking on both sides, and it was quite a vehicle-dominated street. This is just a picture from the 80s or from the late 70s, should I say? So it's the same street, and it has always been very vehicle dominated. The first image there from Google Maps, I suppose, made it seem like there was not much traffic on the street. There was always traffic on the street. There was a constant line of traffic from one end to the other of slow moving traffic. You could definitely walk down far faster than you'd be able to drive down it. And it just wasn't the most pleasant of streets to walk down. You tend to walk quickly rather than linger on it. So again, then with COVID is when we started to look at the street. It wasn't really on our radar before that. But this was very much the businesses were looking for space again for outdoor dining, which we did. So where all those people are sitting on the street, that was all the parking spaces from the earlier photos. So we quickly built those out using kind of temporary build outs to give people space outside their restaurants. Once we started doing that, then people started asking, well, maybe we could have a bit of time without cars. And we said, no problem. So we started doing it just on the evenings, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings, originally for 6 weeks in the summer. But it was so popular, it got extended a number of times, and we ended up doing it for 17 weeks that summer. At which point we started to realize that there really was something here, and everyone was asking us to look at, could maybe this be done permanently? So we went back out to people on the street, the wider public, as those traffic-free evenings were coming to a close. We got about 7,000 submissions, which is one of the biggest actually that we've gotten. And it was probably the most positive one that I've ever gotten, in terms of, over 94%, 96%, I think, said that this traffic-free arrangement improved their experience of the street. So that left us with, I suppose, little choice but to have a look at what we could do. So we started looking then at more detail. So just, I suppose, for a bit of context, we had about 8,000 vehicles a day on the street. And I suppose one of the big things was that they weren't all coming from the very top of the street, up at the top Parnell Street there, about 4,500 were. But there was actually a lot coming in through the side streets, which are residential streets and much quieter streets. So they were the streets, I suppose, that were most worried that when we were going to close it, that they would suffer, I suppose, from traffic building up on their streets. And at the time we had about 14,000 pedestrians a day and 1,800 cyclists. So pedestrians were still the biggest even before we did anything, but they had very little space on the street. Just, I suppose, another, driver for it is, although the street runs north to south, running east to west is our light rail system, the Lewis. And because the traffic was so bad on Capel Street, it would back up on the side streets, which backed up the Lewis there, which is actually stuck in traffic from cars not being able to get onto Capel Street. So we also wanted to try and get rid of that so that they weren't being held up in traffic. So our plan was quite simple then. We were going to pretty much close off all the access from all the side streets, except for in the morning. So between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m., the side streets are open for deliveries only. So not for general vehicles, but deliveries can come in and do their deliveries and get out. And it's actually been a major success for them, because previously you could see how busy the street was. They had very little space to stop or to find space themselves to load. Now they have the same whole streets themselves. They get in, they do their deliveries, and they're gone again. And come 11 a.m. then we just put up by hand at the minute a number of bollards and close off all the access to the street. And that just gives us two big traffic-free areas. The bit in the middle there, that is where the Lewis that runs across, so we have to have kept that open. But otherwise, we have two large areas, and it's the largest, I suppose, traffic-free area in the whole city now. You know, parking and car parks and how are people going to get there was another big question. But you know, if we had turns out we had 2,500 off-street car parking spaces within a couple of minutes walk from the street. So, you know, we were only taking off 18 spaces on the street itself, so it wasn't something that we were worried about. Disabled access is something that's very important to us. So there were a number of spaces on the street, so we made sure that was our priority, was just to replace them and move them as close as possible to the streets on the side streets, so that any of those users could still gain access to the street. And then almost a year ago this week, then is the 20th of May 2022, we closed the streets to cars or opened it to pedestrians and cyclists. We did a quite light touch at the start, as I say, for a few weeks. We just used you know, cones, bollards, and traffic management, just to make sure that we had everything covered in case we needed to change anything. And then I suppose we had the official photo shoot then that morning with the mayor to announce to everyone that the street was now traffic free. So I suppose just this method then, I suppose what it does then is it allows us, once it's in, we can continue talking to people, continue the consultation, and we can look at identifying any other changes that are needed, and then we can start looking